Are you ready to revolutionize your dating life? Buckle up, because we're about to dive into the ultimate guide that covers everything from making him fall for you to nailing your first date. In this all-in-one video, we'll explore the truth about whether time can make someone fall for you, essential tips to avoid falling in love through texting, how to handle those annoying texts guys send, secrets to turning online connections into real-life relationships, the ultimate answer to who should pay on the first date, and pro tips for women to nail their first date. Whether you're just starting your dating journey or looking to up your game, this video has got you covered. Get ready for some real talk, personal stories, and practical advice that will transform your approach to love and relationships. Don't miss out on these game-changing insights. Let's dive in. Imagine this scenario. You've met someone you really like, but they don't seem to feel the same way. You might be wondering, if I just stick around long enough, will they eventually fall for me? Well, let's explore why this might not be the best strategy. First, let's talk about attraction. It's subjective and often instantaneous. Think about it like this. If I showed you 3 different men, one bald, one short, and one who's not great at conversation, who would you choose? The answer varies for everyone because we all have different preferences. Here's the key. Just because someone hasn't done anything wrong doesn't mean you'll be attracted to them. The same goes for men. You can't force attraction, no matter how much time passes. Now let's get a bit scientific. A man's initial feelings for a woman are heavily influenced by his past experiences. We can't fully understand or control someone else's past, and it's not our job to try. This means that sometimes, no matter what we do, we can't make someone develop feelings for us. So what can you control? Yourself. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself. When you do this, you naturally become more attractive to the right people. Often it's not the person you initially hoped for, but someone even better. Many women make the mistake of trying to win over a man's affection through constant attention and care. But here's the truth. If a man doesn't have feelings for you after the first few meetings, no amount of effort on your part can change that. Pursuing someone who doesn't reciprocate your feelings can seriously damage your self-confidence. You might feel unworthy or struggle to move on when they find someone else. Remember, you deserve someone who chooses you from the start. So, what's the takeaway? If a man doesn't have feelings for you, it's not something you can control. Accept this reality and focus on yourself. Live your life fully, pursue your passions, and open yourself up to new possibilities. The right person will be attracted to the amazing person you are, without you having to convince them. Remember, everything you want is on the other side of fear. Embrace change, let go of what doesn't serve you, and you'll find that life has so much more to offer than you ever imagined. Now that we've explored how time alone can't make someone fall for you, let's shift our focus to another crucial aspect of modern dating. While waiting for feelings to develop can be a pitfall, it's often unavoidable to engage in some form of online communication in the early stages of a relationship. So, let's dive into some practical advice on how to navigate those tricky text conversations and turn them into meaningful, real-life connections. First up, don't let them know too much about you. Now you might be thinking, but how will they get to know me? Here's the deal. When you're just talking online, they haven't invested anything yet. If they want to take things further, they need to meet you in person. That's the minimum effort they should make. So in this early phase, keep things basic. Share your general area, not your exact address. Mention what you do, but don't give them your whole life story. If they want to know more, they should meet you. This way, you become the mysterious woman they want to discover. Moving on to our second tip. Don't assume you're a couple. I know when someone's showing you attention and care through texts, it's easy to start feeling those butterflies. But here's a reality check. They're single and might be chatting with others too. If you fall for them before meeting, you're giving away your power. They won't need to put in any effort to win you over when you do meet. This can actually make you less attractive to them. So hold off on those couple fantasies until you've met in person. Our final and most important tip: quickly shift the conversation from online to meeting in person. Remember, words online mean nothing without actions to back them up. Meeting you is the best way for them to show they're genuinely interested. Here's a strategy. Give it a week. If they don't suggest meeting up, or if they do but seem hesitant, that's a red flag. It likely means they're not that interested, and you shouldn't waste your time. In that case, it's best to stop talking to them entirely. So, let's recap our 3 tips to avoid falling in love through texting. 1. Don't let them know too much about you. 2. Don't assume you're a couple. 3. Shift the conversation from online to meeting in person. Remember, if they don't suggest meeting within a week, it's time to move on. But if they do want to meet and keep wanting to see you after that first meeting, that's a good sign to proceed. Finally, always keep this in mind. Don't let your feelings of love develop before you've even met the person. Stay clear-headed so you can spot any red flags. Now that we've covered how to navigate those tricky online conversations, let's tackle a common pain point that many of us can relate to. Deciphering those frustrating texts from guys that leave you wondering what they're really thinking. We've all been there, stuck in a cycle of overthinking and uncertainty. But what if you could break free from that frustration and respond with confidence? In our next section, we'll explore 5 annoying texts guys send and how to handle them like a pro, providing you with actionable tips to save you from unnecessary stress, maintain your dignity, and keep the upper hand in your dating life. Before we jump in, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was head over heels for this guy. Every time my phone buzzed, I'd jump to check if it was him. Sound familiar? Yeah, I thought so. But over time, I realized I was letting these little messages control my emotions. That's when I decided to change my approach, and let me tell you, it was a game changer. So let's break down these annoying texts and how to respond like the queen you are. Number 1. The low-effort, miss you text. Picture this. You haven't heard from him in ages, and suddenly, out of the blue, you get a miss you text. I remember getting one of these after 2 weeks of silence. My heart skipped a beat, but then I thought, wait a minute. Scenario. You rarely talk, then he suddenly texts, miss you. Your instinct, reply, I miss you too, or really, I've been guilty of both. What to do instead? Simply reply, thank you, with a smiley face. Why? You're acknowledging his message without reciprocating when he's put in little effort. It shows you value yourself and your time. Trust me, when I started doing this, the quality of my interactions improved dramatically. Guys who were serious started putting in more effort, and the ones who weren't, well, they showed their true colors pretty quickly. Number 2, the random thinking of you text. Oh, this one used to get me every time. I'd be going about my day and suddenly a thinking of you text would pop up. My imagination would run wild, thinking he must be planning to ask me out or confess his undying love. Spoiler alert, usually it was just a fleeting thought. Scenario, no contact for a week, then I'm thinking about you. What it means, it's just a passing thought, not necessarily a desire to connect deeply. How to respond, send a like or heart reaction. Why? It shows confidence and doesn't overvalue his casual message. I started doing this, and it was liberating. No more overthinking or waiting by the phone. Plus, it often made guys curious and more likely to follow up with actual conversation if they were genuinely interested. Number 3, the lazy hi text. We've all been there, right? You're excited to see his name pop up on your phone, only to find a lonely hi staring back at you. I used to rack my brain trying to come up with interesting responses to these. Not anymore. Scenario, he just sends hi or hey. What not to do? Ask, what's up? Or try to start a conversation. Been there, done that. Best response, hi, with an exclamation point. Why? It shows you're enthusiastic about life, not just waiting for his texts. This response is short, sweet, and puts the ball back in his court. If he wants to talk, he'll have to put in a little more effort. And let me tell you, the ones who are worth it will. Number 4, the forgotten date text. This one stings, doesn't it? I remember sitting at a cafe all dressed up, waiting for a guy who never showed. Then, hours later, I get a casual, what are you doing text? Oh, the audacity. Scenario. You had plans, he's silent all day, then casually texts, what are you doing? How to handle it? Simply reply with a light-hearted, I've turned off the lights and gone to bed, or ignore the message altogether. Either way, it's a clear signal that the conversation is over and it's time to move on. It shows you're not waiting around and don't tolerate disrespect, ladies. Your time is precious. Don't let anyone waste it. When I started respecting my own time, I noticed others started respecting it too. It's all about setting those boundaries. Finally, the late night you up text. The classic late night text. I used to get so excited about these, thinking, wow, he's thinking about me. But let's be real. What kind of quality conversation or meet up happens after midnight on a whim? Scenario: silent all day, texts at 11 p.m. asking what you're doing, how to respond. I'm in bed getting ready to sleep. Next time, can you text me before 5 p.m.? Receiving your message at this time makes me think your emotions are probably unstable. Add a winking emoji. Why? It sets clear boundaries and shows you're not available for last-minute plans. This response is a game changer. It's assertive, a little playful, and makes your expectations clear. I've used this, and let me tell you, the respect level goes way up. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what if setting boundaries scares him off? Let's address this concern head-on. The truth is, if asserting your worth and setting healthy boundaries pushes someone away, it's a sign that they're not the right person for you. A partner who truly respects and values you will rise to meet your standards, not shy away from them. Remember, these responses help maintain your value and show that you respect yourself. It might feel uncomfortable at first, believe me, I know, but it's about doing what needs to be done, not just what feels easy in the moment. Stay confident and don't accept low-quality interactions. You deserve so much more. Now that we've equipped you with the tools to handle tricky text messages, it's time to take your digital connection to the next level, turning it into a real-life relationship. The transition from online chats to face-to-face meetings can be daunting, but with a thoughtful approach, it can be a thrilling opportunity to deepen your connection. In this section, we'll explore some practical strategies to help you make a seamless transition from online to offline and set yourself up for a successful first date. First things first, let's talk about how to drop that hint without coming on too strong. The key here is subtlety. You want to suggest meeting up in a way that's light, casual, and doesn't put too much pressure on either of you. Here's a little trick I love. Try saying something like, "When we have a chance, I'd like to treat you to some bubble tea." See what I did there? It's sweet, it's low-key, and it leaves the ball in their court. Now here's where it gets interesting. Pay attention to how they respond. If they're into you, they'll probably jump at the chance and suggest a time right away. You might hear something like, "Are you free this weekend?" Or "That sounds great. When are you available?" That's a green light, my friends. But what if they start making excuses or seem hesitant? Well, that might be a sign they're not quite ready or honestly not that interested. And that's okay. Remember, we're all on our own journeys here. All right. Moving on to our second big tip. Timing is everything. Here's a little insider knowledge for you. You don't want to let that online chat drag on for too long before meeting up. I know, it's comfortable behind that screen, but trust me on this one. Here's the deal. Men and women often develop feelings differently in online chats. Ladies, we tend to get emotionally invested pretty quickly through those late-night text sessions. But guys, they usually need that face-to-face interaction to really start feeling a connection. So what's the sweet spot? Aim to meet within 1 to 2 weeks of starting your chats. Any longer than that, and you risk building up this idealized version of each other that might not match reality. Plus, let's be honest, your chemistry might fizzle out if you wait too long. Now, what if you've hinted at meeting up a few times and they're still not biting? It might be time to take a step back. Remember, you're a catch, and you deserve someone who's excited to meet you. Okay, let's say you've made it to that first meetup. Congrats! But the work isn't over yet. This is where our third tip comes in. Become a bit of a detective after that first meeting. Pay attention to how they act afterwards. Do they text you more? Are they eager to set up another date? That's a great sign they're feeling it too. On the flip side, if they suddenly become less responsive or seem less interested, it might be a sign you're not quite compatible. And that's totally fine. It's all part of the journey. Here's a crucial point I want you all to remember. At this stage, we're talking about interest, not deep feelings. Someone who's genuinely interested will want to meet up again to get to know you better. But if they're constantly making excuses or postponing, that's your cue to start backing off. Remember, at this point, you're just getting to know each other. You're not in a relationship yet, so try not to get too emotionally invested too quickly. It's exciting, I know, but keep those expectations in check. To wrap things up, let's recap our 3 main points. 1. Suggest meeting subtly and pay attention to their response. 2. Aim to meet within 1-2 weeks of starting to chat. 3. Observe their behavior after the first meeting. And here's my final piece of advice. Be prepared for things not to work out sometimes. It's totally normal and doesn't reflect on your worth at all. You're amazing, and the right person will see that. Speaking of first dates, let's dive into some essential tips for women to make that initial encounter truly memorable. I bet you didn't know that the key to a memorable first date isn't about perfection, but genuine connection. I'll never forget my first date with John. We met online, and after weeks of messaging, we finally met for coffee. I was so nervous. I'd spent hours picking out the perfect outfit and practicing conversation starters in my head. As it turned out, I worried for nothing. John was just as awkward and charming as he was online. We talked for hours, losing track of time. We discovered a shared love for vintage movies and terrible reality TV. It was refreshing to be myself, quirks and all. Looking back, that date wasn't perfect. Our coffee order was messed up, and we got caught in a sudden downpour. However, those imperfections faded away because we connected on a genuine level. That's what makes a first date truly special. That experience taught me valuable lessons about first dates. It's not about flawlessly executed plans, but about genuine connection and mutual enjoyment. So relax, be yourself, and remember to have fun. Many people chase the elusive perfect first date. But what does that even mean? A fancy dinner? A romantic stroll in the moonlight? In reality, the perfect first date is less about the setting and more about the feeling. It's about feeling comfortable enough to be yourself, laughing together, and discovering if there's a spark. It's about leaving the date feeling happy and excited about the possibility of a second one. Forget the pressure of grand gestures or trying to force a connection. Instead, focus on creating a relaxed and enjoyable experience for both of you. Choose an activity where you can talk and get to know each other. Remember, a first date is like a trailer for a movie. It should pique your interest and leave you wanting more. Coffee, first, then dinner, maybe. I'm a big fan of the 2-part date, especially for first-timers. Start with a low-pressure activity like grabbing coffee or going for a walk in the park. This casual setting allows you to chat, get a feel for each other, and see if there's any initial chemistry. If the conversation flows and you're both enjoying yourselves, suggest extending the date. You can grab dinner, go bowling, or check out that new art exhibit you both mentioned. This 2-part approach allows for a natural progression if you're feeling it, taking the pressure off a single extended encounter. However, if the date isn't sparking, don't feel obligated to extend it. A simple "I have to run, but it was great meeting you" is perfectly acceptable. Next tip, having an exit strategy, just in case. Sometimes, despite our best intentions, first dates don't go as planned. Maybe the conversation falls flat, or you realize early on that you're not compatible. In these situations, it's perfectly okay to have an exit strategy. Before the date, let a friend know where you'll be and arrange for them to call you at a specific time with a predetermined emergency. This gives you a believable excuse to politely excuse yourself if needed. Another option is to be upfront from the start. Mention that you have a busy schedule and can only stay for an hour or so. This sets a time limit without seeming rude or disinterested. The key is to be respectful of the other person's time while also prioritizing your own comfort and safety. Just as important as the date itself is how you end it. Resist the urge to linger too long. Aim to leave on a high note while the conversation is still flowing and you're both enjoying yourselves. This creates an air of mystery and anticipation for a potential second date. Express your enjoyment of the date with a genuine "I had a really great time talking to you." If you're interested in seeing them again, don't be afraid to say so directly. A simple "I'd love to hear more about," mention something you discussed, can open the door for future plans. Remember, a first date isn't about sealing the deal. It's about making a positive first impression and gauging mutual interest. By following these tips, you can navigate the world of first dates with confidence, grace, and a dash of playful charm. To recap, remember to be yourself. Focus on genuine connection and don't stress about perfection. Have an exit strategy just in case, and always aim to leave on a high note. As promised, our final tip addresses the age-old question, who should pay on the first date? This question has sparked countless debates, and it's a topic that can leave even the most confident daters feeling uncertain. But what if we told you that the answer isn't as black and white as you think? Let's dive into a fresh perspective that will challenge traditional dating etiquette and give you a new way to approach this sensitive subject. When it comes to romantic relationships, we need to look beyond cultural norms. The key factor is the presence of genuine romantic interest. When a man has strong feelings for a woman, paying for the date becomes a natural expression of his intentions and feelings. This ties into some interesting psychology. When we're romantically interested in someone, several factors come into play. We feel a sense of appreciation for the person. Our brain releases dopamine, making us enjoy their company. There's an instinct to win over the other person. Paying for the date becomes an opportunity for all these feelings to manifest. It's not about showing off or following a script. It's a genuine desire stemming from those romantic feelings. Consider two scenarios. In the first, two colleagues grab lunch together. It's perfectly normal for each to pay for their own meal. Now, imagine a man who has strong feelings for a woman taking her out on a date. The dynamics change completely. His desire to pay isn't about obligation, but a natural expression of his interest. So here's the takeaway. In the early stages of dating, if a man has strong feelings for a woman, he'll likely want to pay for the date. It's not about gender roles or societal expectations. It's about the natural expression of romantic interest. Remember, this isn't a hard and fast rule. Every relationship is unique. The most important thing is clear communication and mutual respect. Whether you split the bill or one person pays, make sure you're both comfortable with the arrangement. That's all for now, ladies. If you found this comprehensive guide on dating helpful, I'd love to hear from you. Please take a moment to give this video a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments. Even a simple, great tips lets me know you're engaging with these topics. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay updated on future videos about relationships, dating strategies, and personal growth. Whether you're navigating the early stages of attraction, mastering the art of texting, or preparing for that crucial first date, remember that every experience is a learning opportunity. If you have any questions or want to share your own dating stories, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Until next time, stay confident, be authentic, and remember, the right person will appreciate you for who you are. Happy dating, everyone!